talked about this a couple of weeks ago, actually, about the affordability of homes in this country and how a couple, let's say, out of college, educated, starting a family, how could they afford a house, right? I mean, I bought my house 24 years ago. I ate it in the 2008 crisis, but now since then it has doubled, right? Why is it doubled? I mean, not because it's worth more, honestly. It's the same damn house, right? It doubled because of inflation. It's doubled because, the U.S. dollar, and as I've unendingly talked about, is garbage. It's toilet paper these days, right? So hard assets do well during inflation. It's like an inflation hedge. And as I said, inflation is a man-created by man, disease, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. So I came across this, and I think this makes pretty much kind of proves that what I've been talking about. So I get these clippings from Twitter, from other places. The reason I do it is because, well, number one, I'm agreeing with what they're saying. Number two, they have graphs, right? So pictures are worth 1,000 words. You don't really need to read a whole book to understand what's going on. But what you do is when you look at a picture, and when the picture is clear, I mean, what else is there to do, right? And it's simple, it's understandable, it's language that you guys can understand. I mean, look, I can talk to, the finance language, but then what's the point of that, right? We're all human. We all try to figure out what's going on as simply as we can. So that's what I'm trying to do with you guys, trying to help you guys. So the Kobesi letter is one that I really, really follow on Twitter. Again, like I said, I am on Twitter at Sergio Avid. I'm pretty sure my Twitter handle and my LinkedIn handle is in the show notes, or it should be on the YouTube channel at Sergio Avedian. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Please turn on all notifications so I don't do these live streams for like 5 people or 10 people. I want to do these live streams for 30, 40, 50, 100 people at a time coming up. I want to see the growth on live streams because that's where you guys are going to get the news firsthand. Obviously, you'll figure out the content later. So according to that newsletter, there has never been a worse time to buy a home in the U.S. I completely agree. There are many reasons for that. Obviously, right? One of the reasons is prices. Prices have doubled, tripled. A shack in California where I live is $1 million now, literally a shack, like a 1,500 square foot house. Why is that house $800 a square foot? It's made out, by the way, in California, as you know, we're in an earthquake country. We don't use cinder blocks. We don't use concrete. We don't use any of that stuff that's used other parts of the country, but mostly other parts of the world, right? So, I mean, it's made by 2x4s, man. It's a little stucco, a foundation, and some plumbing, and then $800 a square foot. I'm like, why? Right? Like I said, my house has doubled since when I bought it 2002. It's nuts. It's crazy. Hey, Gary and Ryan, welcome. The annual income needed to buy a median value, by the way, is hitting right about $400,000 in the U.S. now. Median home price. Median. This median is like the average, the middle, the median. $400,000. Okay, so we talked about that couple that just graduated college. Let's say they get married. Let's say they don't even have kids yet. They're going to buy a starter home. A starter home anywhere in the country, the median price is $400,000. I mean, you put 20% down, that's $80,000 down. Hopefully you have the money. You have 2 good jobs because, there's no more hocus pocus loans that I used to do when I had a mortgage company between 2000 and 2008. We used to do these loans because we weren't allowed to do it. I mean, look, I'm not going to. I'll take the blame for it. People would come to me and say, "Well," I go, "What do you do?" They go, "Well, I'm a gardener," and they go, "Yeah, you're a landscape designer." So we just put in landscape designer, and then it'll just go through and get approved by the Countrywide or Century Financial or Wachovia or Washington Mutual, and then we sell the loan. And basically, the test those days, before the great financial crisis, the housing crash, was like I put a mirror in front of your nose. If I see it get cloudy, then I go, "You're living, okay, you get a loan." I mean, that's what it was. We're not there today. We're today a lot more stricter guidelines apply. You got to put 20% down. But the other thing is, when we had 0% interest rates, my mortgage, I refinanced at 3.5 or 3.75 for a third year, right? So now the same mortgage is 7.5. So you understand what's happening. Not only the housing prices have gone up, but your monthly payment due to the mortgage rates doubling, due to the Fed's F up, because of them printing so much money and inflation got out of control. Now they're trying to bring it under, wraps. Well, what happens? They have to raise rates. That's the antidote for killing inflation. And obviously everything we pay interest on, or we have loans on, from car loans to mortgages to, whatever we purchase, major purchases, credit cards, right? I mean, interest rates have gone through the roof. So the carrying cost of that loan is massive, right? But annual income needed to buy a median value home in the U.S. is now $115,000. Let's say you're a husband and wife, both are working, making $60K. You may just qualify for that. But what if one of you loses a job? Then you guys are messed up. So by comparison, the median household income, the actual median household income in the country, okay, is $75,000. A whopping $40,000 less than required. So how are these people supposed to go qualify for a loan? How are these people supposed to go buy a house? They're 40,000 under. They need 40,000 more income, right? Have their income or have their earnings kept pace with inflation? No, of course not. I mean, who's making double the money they were making a year ago or 2 years ago? Okay, you have a W-2. Has your income doubled? No. Actually, adjusted to inflation, earnings, incomes are down in this country over the last 9-10 years. But the government doesn't talk about that, right? And they just make everything look rosy. I'm like, no, it's not. There's reality, and then there's BS. I just kind of don't like the BS, and then I don't spin things, and that's where we are. So 75,000, a whopping 40,000 less than required. So how do we get that? Where do we get that $40,000? Right? The bank is not going to give you the loan because you need $115,000 just to qualify for a median, home that's $400,000. Forget that part. Right? The price has gone up, has so much. Right? You're forced to rent. Well, when you're renting, what has happened to rents? They have doubled. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. None of this is making sense to me. This truly is going to end badly, and then I hope it doesn't end badly while I'm alive. So the gap between income needed to buy a home and annual income has never been larger. Never is a big word, by the way, people. Okay, never in the history of this country. Yesterday was celebrated. I don't know, what was it, our 225th, anniversary or birthday of the country. Never is that. Okay, never. I mean, okay. Even during the housing boom, when I had a mortgage company from 2001 to 2007, the housing boom before the 2008 GFC, Great Financial Crisis, the gap was only 15,000. So then it was out of control, but the gap that's 40,000 now was only 15,000. And we know what happened to housing prices. Now, there's reasons for that. We used to do no income, no asset loans. Nobody did any background check. Nobody cared. Nobody, certified your income. I mean, it was shenanigans, right? But then if I didn't do the loan, somebody else is going to do the loan, so I might as well do the loan, right? Or the subprime loans. We know what happened to those. Adjustable loans, all these things. And which I've done, guilty as charged. But then I kind of knew this was going to happen. But when I saw that in 2008 that the gap was $15,000, I go, this is crazy. Nobody can afford new homes. Nobody is going to be able to buy homes. And if they tighten the credit guidelines or mortgage guidelines on these loans, we're screwed. So I shut the company down, actually merged it with another company, and writing was on the wall. I mean, I talk about it all the time. I had a couple of friends at Countrywide. I said, I'm shorting Countrywide because it's going to go to shit. And sure enough, look what happened to Countrywide. They finally got merged at nothing with Bank of America during TARP, right? But now that 15,000 gap is at 40,000. Think about it, people. This is out of control, unmanageable. And on the other hand, the best period to buy a house was 2012, 2013, when the median income exceeded the required salary by the most over the last 20 years. You want that. You don't want what we just talked about. Okay. And here's the graph, right? So now you have the red line with the oval on the right-hand side of the graph. That's income needed to buy a home. Okay. All right. And the reality, which is household income going back to 2006. Okay. So the line that's kind of going slowly on an upslope versus, right, now. Then look at the gap between the red chart or the red line on the chart versus the actual household income. Okay. So household income is a 75,000, but income required is at 115,000. That's that gap you guys are seeing, the $45,000 gap. You see what I'm saying? I mean, pictures are worth 1,000 words. And then, as you guys can see, when household income, when that red line was below household income, then you can afford. Affordability index was high. Now, the affordability index is absolutely in the toilet. So I feel bad for people who are just starting life as a couple. I'm not worried about me, but I'm worried about my kids. And they're going to graduate college and then get married. And how are they going to afford anything? There's definitely nothing they can afford unless they, get into a Google with a $300,000, $400,000 engineering job. Very small percentage of the population is able to do that. So, Roy, I answer all questions at the end. If you can hang out, I will answer all the questions. So this is where we are. What's going to happen? Well, my crystal ball says, first of all, housing sales are collapsing because of, number one, because of unaffordability. The index is unaffordable. Nobody can buy houses. The other thing is there aren't too many houses for sale. Like my house has doubled. Well, I can sell, make my tons of equity, okay? But then the new house I'm going to buy has already gone up 100%, and now I have to pay much higher property tax because my property tax only goes up 3% a year and is adjusted every year by 3% from the purchase price of the house in California anyway. And then, has my income doubled, tripled? No. Can I afford a mortgage of $1 million+ at 7%, 8%? Absolutely no, because my income did not go up as much as it should have. Thank God to trading. That's saving my butt. But so that's where we are. So if you're looking for a house, you better make sure your T's are crossed and I's are dotted before you get into it. And think, by the way, home ownership is not what everybody thinks it is. Something always is being fixed in my house, nonstop expense. And the expenses related to the house, homeowners insurance, doubled easily in my area anyway. Every equipment or my water and power has doubled over the last 3 years. Okay. So just because you bought the home, you have the mortgage, that's not your expenses. You have many, many, many more expenses. Like the other day, stupid to say, our faucet broke in the bathroom. The guy came, charged $300. And I'm going like, well, they used to cost me like 150. So, or if you're going to get a roof done, that doubled. So, home ownership is not what people think it is. But then if you're renting, rents have doubled too. So it's really, really a tough situation. And it's man-made. Okay. And unfortunately, that's where we are.